Hello everyone, welcome to Leasy. This is another video on Zig programming language, and hopefully in this video we will try to do a small project. It's a small game called Tic Tac Toe, and we want to write it in Zig using whatever we have learned so far. So this is gonna be a long project, so I'm gonna I have done the code differently. I can show you what is the final result and what we are looking to have. It's basically a terminal based game, and here I have the written code, and I can just run so that we can see the result, final result first. So here you see there is a 3x3 table, and each cell inside this table has a number, and there are two players. They can have a choice. So for example, player 1, I choose number 5, and then I have a star on number 5, and then for player number 2 I choose 2. And I have chosen a sharp character for number 2. Maybe I can change it in the new code that we are going to write together, and change the characters to O and X. But it's just how you prefer to write it. It's not a really big issue. And the winner of this game is of course the player who makes a complete row of their character, for example 3 stars like 4, 5, 6, or a complete column like 3, 6, 9, or diameters like 1, 5, 9 or 3, 5, 7. And if all the houses are complete, all the cells are complete with characters, but nobody is winning, then there is a draw there. It's a very simple game, and yeah, we're gonna try to make the code for this game. So I'm gonna first make a file named tic-tac-toe.zig, and if we go inside it, I'm gonna just import my standard library and write the main function. Okay, I have now my main function, and I have imported standard library, and I have renamed the std.debug.print as print because I'm going to be using a lot. I'm going to be using the print function a lot. So the first thing is of course to have a loop, a game loop, and some condition that for which this game loop could end. So let's try to write that. Now I have a variable named status. Basically it's the status of the game, and I have defined it as an enumerator. So I have defined it as a value of an enumerator. This enumerator has 4 different values: n for no result, the W1 for the win of the first player, W2 for the win of the second player, and D for the draw. And I have this game loop that says that if there is no result, as long as there is no result, I'm going to be having this this game loop is going to go on. And now I can just define our board, and basically it's a 3x3 array, a 2-dimensional array that we can now define it and put the values. So I have defined my board with characters, basically 1, 2, 3, but in ASCII code, because it's easier to do print using these values. but of course you can define them as any way as you want. If you want to be much more efficient, you can define them as enumerators and and values of enumerators. But it's gonna be more difficult to handle. Of course, I mean more difficult. You're gonna have to write a few more lines just to handle the formatting of how to print it in the terminal. And of course, this is much more easier. So I'm gonna be sticking with this for this video. Now I'm gonna write a function that prints this board for me. And I'm going to put it in the beginning of my game loop. Okay, now I have defined this function, print board. Basically, it gets the array B, which is going to be our board. We're going to pass our board to this function, and it's going to loop through all the rows in this board, and then I'm going to do a loop over every element in each row. And so the elements are going to be stored as lm, and I'm going to have the indices with I, and of course I'm going to try to print each element, doing the print I have to remember that we have to remember to put C because we want to print them as character, otherwise they will be printed as numbers, but ASCII numbers, not the number 1, 2, 3 itself. And then if so this condition basically says that I can separate these numbers with with the vertical line, so that we can separate the numbers from each other. And we can make this print much more beautiful. It depends how you want it. You can put as much time as you want on this. But I think this is okay for now. Maybe some space here would be nicer. But that's it. This is good. So basically I added some new lines to my while. So I am printing the board and the status changes just because I don't want this loop continue infinitely, and I can't just have a run so that to see if there is any error and everything is okay. So you see that my array is printed 1, 2, 3 to 9, and everything seems to be okay and there is no problem. So I can now continue to write a little bit more and try to write down to define a variable called turn. I can define a variable called turn, which is a boolean. It's true if it's the first player to play, and if it is the second player to play, it can be false. And then yeah, we can try to get input from the user. So yeah, let's try to do that. So I added some new lines. So the first thing that you can notice is that I added this constant stdin. Basically, I'm going to be trying to use the reader in standard library to read characters or the options that the user gives us as an input. And then I have defined this variable turn. It's a boolean that of course true is for the first player turn and false is the second player turn. And I'm defining a buffer here, and I get an option from the user. So now I have to check if this input is a good value, like for example, if it's some kind of a value that doesn't correspond to numbers between 1 and 9, we can print a message saying that you have put wrong characters and stuff like this. And then if it's not, then depending on the turn, we can just put in the character that corresponds to this player. Let's do that. I added a few lines here. So the first line that I added is to define a player basically based on this turn. So if the turn is true, it's player number 1, and if the turn is false, then it's the player number 2. And I will print that player enters. I will basically print something to get the player's choice. And of course, after that, I'm gonna be using this condition to see if the choice which is given is valid. After this condition, the character is chosen based on the turn. So for the first player, we have X, and for the second player, it's O. And we use the parse int in the format fmt in the library std, and I'm going to be passing the string which has only one character, one element, which is the first element of input. And I'm gonna say that to parse this in the base of 10, and finally here I calculate the row and the column based on this number. So for example, if the number is 7 divided by 3 gives us 2 as a row, and then column, and then if you get the remainder of this division by 3, we get the column here, and then we use the row and column to put the character that we defined here for this player inside the board, and then we change the turn. We say that now it's the turn of the next player. Here I stop. I changed the status to .d, but basically to put it as a draw, because I want it to run at this one time to see if there is no bug or no error here, and then we can try to see how we can continue the rest of the game. Here, of course, I forgot two things. First, I have to put I have to do a typecasting because the row and column are not usize, so the compiler is going to give me an error. So I have to change that first, and then I'm gonna do the compilation and see if there is any error. So here I try to fix some of the bugs here and there, and now we can have a small run here. The ground tic-tac-toe, And yeah, so I have I can choose between 1 and 9. And if I put in, for example, D, it's going to give me an error. Please enter a valid number. And I can continue this game until I enter a valid number from the board. So for example, if I choose 3, then it's okay. It doesn't print the result that it has changed the value of the element, which is a number 3, to x, but we will do it for the next step. Another detail that I have to pay attention is that if some place in the board is not chosen twice, so for example, player 1 chooses number 5, then the second player shouldn't be able to choose number 5. So I have to add 2 more conditions to my if here, saying that board in this place at the row and column that I calculated should definitely be a number, not this character X or O. So let's do that. Okay, I added this new condition to check if this board basically has not been chosen before, and only in that case the character will be placed in the position in the board, and then the turn changes to the next player turn. Otherwise there will be some message saying that please enter a valid choice. Now I need to have a function that checks what is the status of the game and updates it basically on each successful choice enter. So basically, if successfully we change a value of the board here, we have to also call the check status and update the status of the game. And we can now write this function basically checking every row and every column and every diagonal to see if any player is the winner of this game, or if the game is draws, then this loop shouldn't continue, and we basically just have to write down who is the winner, and or if the game is draw. Let's do that. Okay, so now I added one line here. I'm going to store the status of the game in the variable status, which gets updated with this function check status. And this check status will get the board as parameter, as the argument. And we can now check what is this function. I've written this. It's a few more lines than what yeah, it's like maybe 10-20 lines. So the first thing that we want to do, we want to first check if there is any winner. We have the character X and O. We loop through both these characters, and I have this local status variable, which is defined by the which is different from the status variable which is in the main function. I can try to change the name of this thing, maybe. You can change this name if it confuses you. But basically this is a local variable defined inside this function. It has nothing to do with the status that is inside the main function. So if the character is X, the status is the winner 1, and else if the character is O, we basically have the winner 2 as the status. And then to check for the conditions, so we loop through the rows. Here I say row, but the first condition gives us the condition for the rows. Basically a row and then a column 0, row column 1, and then a row column 0 equal to column 2, and then the board at row and column 0 if it's equal to character. If these three conditions are satisfied, then return basically status, which is the winner 1 in case of the character being X, and winner 2 in case of character being O. And you can actually remove this status and just write 2 loops, and if it's easier for you, but this basically gets the job done. And then here I am just checking the diagonals. So this is the main diagonal and this is the off diagonal. Checking, and then when we check for the winning, if there is no winner and the function continues, we now need to check for draw. First I define a boolean draw equal to true, and I will check if there is any elements inside this board that is not X and is not O. Basically it's a number. Then the draw is false, and then we can return the draw status if the draw is it has remained true through this loop. And of course at the end, if none of this happen, if there is no winner and there is no draw, then the function should return normal or no draws and no winner, which is basically in our enumerator. And this game status is the enumerator, which I just defined it in the beginning of the file. And I changed the definition of status here as well. Instead of explicitly writing the enumerator, I just put the game status here. So N for no result, W1 for the player 1 winning, W2 for the player 2 winning, and D for the draw. Okay, now we can try to run this and see if this is okay. So if I put 2 for player 1, you see that there is X in instead of number 2 now. If I try to, for example, put number 2, it's gonna give us that the number is not valid and the turn doesn't change. Player 2 still has to play. So I'm gonna play 3. So 3 changed to O, and if I now is the turn for player, it's a player's 1 turn, so I'm gonna play 5 and 6 and 8. Okay, so that's good. It finishes the loop. The only thing that is remained is to print the result of the game, and then everything is okay. So let's just try to add 1 or 2 lines to write the result of the game, and yeah, this will be end. Before doing that, just don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you like the video, and share it with your friends, with anybody who you know that is interested in Zig programming language. Let's continue with the code. Okay, I added 3 lines, basically 5 lines. I'm using the defer keyword, so to find where this while ends, it's a little bit, sometimes it's confusing, and it might lead to bugs and stuff, so it's easier if I just write defer before this while, and I just put the 3 lines first. I'm checking if the status is W1, then print the player 1 is the winner of the game. If the status is W2, player 2 is the winner, and if the status is D, that the game is draw. And yeah, this will do the job. We can just test it and see. Just before doing the test, I have to say that this code will be available in my GitHub. I will put the link of the GitHub in the page in the YouTube. I didn't exhaust all the options. There might be different bugs that I have not noticed, but I hope that there is no bug and there's no problem in this code. But if there is one, I will update it on the GitHub, and I may explain things like in the comments if there has been any update. So, but for now, I'm just gonna upload this code. So you can have this access to this code in the links in the description. So let's try and see how this works. You can see that I have run this code one time at least. Let's try if we can get a draw here, for example. Choice 1, 2, 3, and then 5, 8, 9, 6, 7, 4. The game was a draw, and it works and there's no problem. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope to see you again in the next videos. Please leave a comment and tell me what type of video you like. Do you like the projects like this, small projects, small games that use the Zig code, or do you like it if I explain the details of the Zig programming language bit by bit? See you in the next video.